They're selling y'all wolf tickets, people. You're eating them right up. George here is selling you wolf tickets. Dana here is selling you wolf tickets. The UFC is selling you some wolf tickets. You guys are eating them right up. Man, I'm working towards something here. All right, everybody knows that. This is just my opinion. Yeah, if you weren't selling bullshit this whole time, if you weren't selling no bullshit, we wouldn't, you wouldn't be sitting in this position where you're like,
Hey everybody, welcome to Wolf Tickets MMA. Tonight we are breaking down UFC Fight Night Strickland versus Imavov. Starting off the card, we have a women's flyweight bout between Priscilla Cachoeira versus Cachoeira Eubanks. Cachoeira is a plus 175 underdogs, and Eubank is a minus 205 favorite. Ultimately, this is a low-level women's MMA fight with a grappler versus a striker, and most of the time the grappler wins in women's MMA. Cachoeira has almost no takedown defense, and she gets hit a lot. Eubanks is the grappler here with good jiu-jitsu for the women's divisions. Odds are Eubanks is going to go out, eat a little bit and then take her down and then grind on her the rest of the fight, possibly get a sub. There is a chance that Cachoeira could defend some takedowns and light Eubanks up on the feet, but her takedown defense is just so bad. Her ground game is just so bad that, I almost want to put money on this because of Cachoeira's takedown defense, but this is ultimately a woman's low-level MMA fight, and I'm going to have to stay far away from it. But I will pick Eubanks to get the decision or sub, knowing that, Cachoeira could land some strikes on the feet and hurt her, possibly, and put her out. But not likely. I'm going to have to go with Eubanks by decision, and I'm staying far away from this. Next up, we have a way better fight in the men's flyweight division against Jimmy Flick and Charles Johnson. Flick is a plus 350 underdog, and Charles Johnson is somehow a minus 450 favorite. This should be a good fight. You have Jimmy Flick, who is a good grappler. He's kill or be killed. He has crazy submissions, constantly looking for him. He'll go for flying subs, all that. All his losses are KOs. He is, competent enough stand-up, but, it doesn't matter if you get clipped and end up getting knocked out at the end of the day. He has been off for 2 years, and he is kill or be killed. Basically all his fights end up inside the distance, and he's going against Charles Johnson, who's a good striker, a good wrestler. He has fast hands. He seems to have good mat awareness where he's at and good fight IQ. I thought he lost his last fight against Zumagulov, but it is what it is. He was taken down and controlled by Makayev, but he's still able to get back up. He showed some good takedown defense, and Makayev obviously is a great grappler, up-and-coming prospect. And making a pick on this is difficult because Flick is probably the better grappler, even though we've only seen Johnson, grappled defensively against Makayev, and he didn't look that bad, but he was still taken down and controlled, for the majority of it. But Johnson typically isn't a finisher. But I'm going to have to go with the under, and I'm picking a straight pick here. I don't know. I could see Johnson possibly, clipping Flick, because Flick has been KO'd, I think, 4 or 5 times. And Flick is also, he'll just dive on a sub if it presents itself. And he's not bad, but he has been off for a while. Him being plus 350 is pretty crazy, given that Johnson should be 0-2 in the UFC. And Flick has been around a while, and he's on a 4-fight win streak. So making a pick, is difficult. I'm going to, just go inside the distance as, betting tip. But Flick being plus 350 is pretty crazy to me. But I don't know, how it's going to play out, because Charles Johnson, should be 0-2. And he didn't look that bad in his losses, though. So Jimmy Flick coming off the layoff with, decent win streak coming in. Or Charles Johnson coming off essentially 2 losses and not looking bad. Ultimately, the inside the distance, probably should happen. But as far as a straight pick, I'm going to go with the underdog here. I'm going to go with Jimmy Flick, knowing that, only because he's a plus 352. And, that's pretty crazy for somebody, with the resume of Jimmy Flick and the history of Jimmy Flick being a finisher and out wrestling some of these guys and choking these guys out. So I'm going to go with Jimmy Flick by sub, knowing that Johnson could possibly, crack his chin and get the KO here. Next up, in the men's featherweight division, we have Daniel Argueta versus Isaac Dulgarian. Argueta is coming in as minus 250. Dulgarian is a plus 200. And I'm looking forward to this because Dulgarian might be one of the best prospects on this card. He's just blasting through these guys on the regional scene with his wrestling. He's explosive, powerful wrestler with good grappling and top pressure, relentless ground and pound. He ran through basically everybody in less than 3 minutes, so his cardio past, round one has to be questions. But all his fights played out the same so far, on the regionals at least. He starts off the fight, throw a few strikes, blast a double, take somebody down, catch a kick, take somebody down, end up on top and just beat him up or choke him out. He's just, an explosive, aggressive grappler. And I want to see how his cardio holds up because he's fighting Daniel Argueta, who, he fought in the UFC once, short notice against Damon Jackson, and essentially got dominated against Damon Jackson, who didn't look good. He gassed in 2 rounds. He gassed in less than 2 rounds, I guess. He said his leg cramped up. He was sick going into it. But Argueta's a good grappler, it looks like. But everything else just pretty unimpressive, honestly, to me. He might have some power. He looks like he has good cardio. And the striking seems slow and ploddy, and it doesn't have any head movement, and he gets hit. So I want to see how Dulgarian looks if this does get extended. If Argueta, if you can't take Argueta down, what's he going to do? What do his hands look like? Blah, blah, blah. He looks like he has tons of potential, and he looks like he's going to be very exciting. It's just the big question is his cardio. And he's training at a Glory MMA with a bunch of killers, so I'm sure it's going to be on point. And I'm going to have to go with him here. Another underdog, Dulgarian. If he comes out, looks like he does against these guys. And this is essentially a regional fight anyway. Argueta did fight Damon Jackson, but only because he took it on short notice, and he did get dominated in that fight. In the grappling too. Damon Jackson, he is no slouch, but he did not look good in that fight. So here, I'm going to go Isaac Dulgarian, knowing that he does have some questions with his cardio and his stand-up. But I'm just overall not impressed with Argueta, even on the regional scene when I was watching some of his fights. He didn't look that great. So yeah, bearing some questions with Dulgarian, I'm going to have to pick him here. He's an exciting prospect to watch, and if he does get his hand raised, I'm going to be keeping my eye out for him because he looks like he has tons of potential. Then we move along to the men's flyweight division. We have Alan Nascimento versus Carlos Hernandez. Nascimento is a minus 350 favorite. Hernandez plus 275 underdog. Nascimento is a well-rounded, great grappler. He goes for subs constantly, has good stand-up, or he has good top control, good scrambles, good strikes, mixes everything, punches, kicks, knees. He'll shoot from doubles from distance, or he'll go for the clinch trips and takedowns. But he does start to fade a little bit around 3, can get lazy sometimes in his scrambles, or you scramble too hard and lose position and fall off. And he has some decent leg kicks. Now Hernandez is pretty low output, I guess, with no power. He does have tight boxing and, takedown awareness. He will defend a takedown, see it coming, sprawl, get his knee blocks, whatever. Seems pretty slow, but he is tough, and he has good cardio, good defense on the ground, standing up, and he will fight for your money. He's not just going to go out and quit. But ultimately, I will have to go with Nascimento. He's just better everywhere. He's way more experienced. He just beat Jake Hadley, who's a good up-and-coming prospect. He fought Ulanbekov, who's, really good. And I gotta go with Nascimento unless he gasses horribly and Hernandez can somehow get a finish in the third, I don't think Hernandez gets this at all. He's too slow and doesn't have enough power to threaten Nascimento on the feet. And Nascimento should be the far, far better grappler here. Nascimento should win this fight no matter where it goes, and I'm going to have to pick him straight money line. And yeah, he should easily win this fight. And we'll move along to the men's bantamweight division against Mateus Medonca and Javid Bashrat. Two undefeated prospects coming up. Medonca is a plus 280 underdog. Bashrat is a minus 350 favorite. And that line, it kind of makes sense because Bashrat has been around and he has beaten some decent guys and has looked good doing it. That fight against Tony Gravely, I don't know how he ended up fighting Tony Gravely and then going down to the debut guy, because Bashrat is one of the best prospects at bantamweight right now. Bashrat is smooth, smart striking, mixes everything up. He's a good prospect. He's fought way better competition. His in and out striking. He's hard to hit. He has good takedown defense. And overall, he's just a smart fighter with good fight IQ, and he's well-rounded everywhere. Medonca is an aggressive shootbox style fighter, typical shootbox guy. His fast hands, mixes up everything, good Muay Thai. Looks like he fades a little bit and gets sloppy late in the fight. He seems smart. Seems like he has good fight IQ, but he leaves his chin up to be hit, and he can get wild at times. He has good jiu-jitsu. But I'm going to have to take Bashrat here. Overall, he's more well-rounded, smarter fighter with better experience, and he should be able to win this no matter where it goes. Obviously, Medonca can catch him, while with his in and out style, and if he's getting wild, throwing punches and just clips the chin of Bashrat, he could put him down, maybe a club and sub or a KO, but that's probably not going to happen. Bashrat should probably win this pretty easily. But, Medonca's no slouch. He is exciting to watch, and he is a pretty fun prospect. But he's probably going to lose this fight no matter where it goes. So I'm going to have to take Bashrat here as a straight money line pick. Next up in the men's lightweight division, we have a Mateus Rebeski versus Nick Fiore. Rebeski is a minus 610 favorite. Nick Fiore is coming in late replacement. I think a week ago is plus 450. He's a heavy underdog. And he's fighting a very exciting Polish juggernaut in Rebeski. He's a wild striker. He has wild power. He's athletic, explosive. He's a tuck his chin and throw. He's a great grappler. Heavy top pressure, constant forward pressure. His cardio has to be questioned because of the way he fights after, a round and a half. But he doesn't stop. He's extremely exciting to watch. He's fighting Fiore. He's a late replacement. He's a good grappler. He's good BJJ, based on the couple fights that I saw. He has good gym reputation, apparently, at, where does he fight out of? New England Cartel with, what's his name? Calvin Kattar, and, Rob Font, but it's not going to matter when you're fighting somebody like Rebeski on short notice, and he's still improving. He only has his regional fights, so Rebeski should come out here and take care of business pretty easily. It looks like. He's 16-1. I think his only loss was when he got slammed on the top of his head while going for an armbar or a triangle, and he was knocked out. But he's just he's a juggernaut. He walks forward, wings punches as hard as he can, tucks his chin and throws, and he's looking to knock you out or get on top and submit you or pound you out on top. Rebeski is probably going to look like a minus 600 here. Obviously no action on this with that wide of a line, but when the inside the distance props come out, it could be a good parlay piece. But I'm going to have to go Rebeski here all day, unless Fiore just comes out and just happens to be, an otherworldly grappler and striker, but it doesn't look like it, and it looks like he's probably going to end up with an L here. So Rebeski possibly inside the distance, and yeah, it's probably going to end up looking like a -600 favorite. Next up in the men's middleweight division, which is going to be the craziest, wildest fight of the night, with Abdulrazak Alhassan versus Cachoeira Eubanks. Alhassan's the -125 favorite. Ribiero is a +100 underdog. Alhassan is 37 years old, and Ribiero is 30 years old, and there's a 7-year age gap. And the guy 7 years younger starts off with 70% edge. So with a fight like this, just bet the age if you want, and you could blind bet it. But with this fight, there's really no straight pick here. It's inside the distance, 100%. Alhassan, he's very powerful, explosive, wild striker. He mixes in kicks. He blitzes in with punches. He can be taken down and controlled. He's a judo guy. He can't get takedowns of his own, but he fades hard as the fight goes on. He loses every fight that goes past one round. Ribiero, on the other hand, is another crazy, wild striker with power. And, because of, I think he has all finishes and knockouts. His cardio has to be questioned, too. He throws extremely wild hooks and leaves his chin wide open. But both these guys are very exciting for the most part, unless Alhassan gasses and, he freezes up. But ultimately, somebody's getting KO'd here unless they both gas and just refuse to throw in the last 2 rounds. But I know a lot of people are on Ribiero here, but I'm going to have to go with Alhassan, knowing that this fight is just going to be crazy and anything could happen. But Alhassan, the only reason I'm picking him is because he's fought the way better guys. And Ribiero, he's so wide with his punches that if Alhassan just throws a straight punch down the middle, he's going to end up landing on him. But on the other hand, Ribiero can throw one of those crazy wild hooks from some weird angle and catch Alhassan. And somebody's ultimately getting knocked out here. There's another parlay piece that you're just going to have to bet on, right? This is definitely going on one of my parlays, and it's going to be crazy, hilarious, and awesome for as long as it lasts. And somebody's going to get finished in this fight. So straight pick, I'm going to go with Alhassan just because he's fought the better guys, and that's about it. He can end up getting called with all these crazy punches easily. That's not confident at all, but what is confident is the inside the distance or the under 1.5, which is probably going to be lined at. So, yeah, inside the distance. Kicking off the main card, we have a men's bantamweight fight between Umar Nurmagomedov versus Umar Barcelos. Umar is a -500 favorite, and Barcelos is a +385 underdog. And yeah, Umar is obviously well-rounded, smart. He's a great grappler. He has fast kicks. He's good at keeping distance with the kicks. He has good takedowns from distance and in the clinch. He has good 3-round cardio. We've seen him go the distance. He has good jiu-jitsu and submissions. Hayoni, on the other hand, is another good, well-rounded fighter. This is a big step up in competition for Umar, because Raoni is no slouch. He's a good, well-rounded fighter. He's 9 years older, so again, 70% of the time, Umar is going to win this fight based on age alone. But Hayoni has fought the better competition. He has great Muay Thai, decent jiu-jitsu, good jiu-jitsu. He's typically not a finisher for the most part. And with the pressure and wrestling of Umar, which will happen, his cardio is going to have to be questioned. And this fight, as far as the line goes, I'm not sure if -500 makes sense. It's probably going to end up making sense if the fight happens, but Hayoni is no slouch, and Hayoni is good. But he is a huge step up in competition for Umar. And I think it's going to be a close fight if Umar can't land, that takedown really right away in the first round or whatever. But Hayoni will fight for your money, and he's probably past his prime. So I know if you're betting the chalk on Umar, against Hayoni, you're going to be sweating for a little bit because Hayoni is no slouch and he's very good. And we haven't seen Umar fight anyone as good as Hayoni. So I'm going to have to go with Umar just based on the age and based on Hayoni being past his prime. But I know Hayoni is still, a great fighter. He's a great, well-rounded fighter. He's just, he's older. He has been, in a few tough fights the last couple of years, and the damage has to be catching up to him. He had that fight against, what's his name? Victor Henry, where, that was a great fight, even though he lost, but he didn't look that good, or he didn't look that bad, but he probably shouldn't have lost that fight, So his prime has probably passed him, and Umar is, rising right now. So this should be a great fight. Hopefully Umar doesn't just steamroll Hayoni, but it could happen. Hayoni's good, but I'm just gonna have to go with Umar here. Just because he's the younger, fresher fighter. Then we move along to the women's bantamweight division against Ketlin Viera versus Raquel Pennington. Ketlin Viera is -110. Raquel is -110. Ketlin is a good grappler. She could be inactive on top. She's a good, powerful counter puncher. She's not too active on her feet, and she's pretty inconsistent when it comes to her performances. When she's good, she's good. When she's off, she's off. She can accept position. She can get stuck on bottom, get stuck in the clinch. She can just fall apart halfway through a fight and decide to lose to Yuna Kaneskaya for no reason at all. And she's fighting Raquel, who's a solid enough boxer. She doesn't have a lot of power, but she has good output, good combo. She's tough. She can be taken down, but it doesn't matter. She has a good get-up game. She has good cardio. She can, I guess, be controlled in the clinch, but she's also not bad. She can control people, too. Overall, the over's the pick here, because most of the time, both of them are going to decisions. If I had to pick a winner, it'd probably be Raquel. She's the better boxer with more output, and she should win minutes here. But it all depends on which Ketlin shows up. She could take down Raquel, she could take down Raquel and control her on top, or she could just land the hardest shots from distance, But Raquel is probably going to look to counter strike here and maybe get a clinch and just fight from there. This is most likely going over, and that over should be a good parlay piece too. If you're feeling froggy, you can go split decision prop. That you should be getting decent odds there. Both these girls are evenly matched for the most part. It's probably going over. Raquel should probably win the boxing exchanges and the clinch exchanges. She should have better cardio. But overall, it's a women's MMA fight. Anything can happen. But Raquel decision. Possibly, I might put some money on the split decision prop, just a little bit. A little $10 bet. But this is probably going to be very frustrating for whoever you bet against. This has potential to be a very frustrating and annoying match. But Raquel decision here. Next up at middleweight, we have Soriano versus Roman Kopylov. Soriano is a -170 favorite. Kopylov is a +140 underdog. Soriano is a good striker, good grappling. He's tough, fights for your money, has decent power. Seems to fade a little bit, as the fight goes on, but he doesn't quit. He seems like he might get a second win later in the fight. He's a good wrestler. He's a good get-up game, good takedown defense. And he's fought better guys. And he throws a lot of hooks and not a lot of straight punches. Kopylov can be low output, but seems to have crisp, fast striking and good distance management, good takedown defense. But once he's on the ground, he has questionable bottom game. Throws a lot of straight punches, and he looks like he has decent cardio. And he did get tapped by a striker in Carl Robertson, which is not a good look. So I'm gonna have to go with Soriano here, straight pick. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a finish. Either side really. But Soriano is basically just better everywhere, it looks like, and unless he gasses horribly, by the time it gets to the third round, he should, most likely win. The thing is Soriano throws a lot of hooks, Kopylov throws a lot of straight punches, and it could give him fits here. If he's throwing wide and he's getting hit straight, but he always has his wrestling in his back pocket. He doesn't really use it, and he's very tough too. So I'm gonna go Soriano here, possible KO from either guy really. But if I had to pick, it'd probably be from Soriano. And knowing that Kopylov, he hasn't really. You get taken down and you're back taken and choked by Carl Robertson, who's a kickboxer, and then you look really good against D. Chirico, who he's not great, but very inconsistent performances. Soriano, didn't look bad against Brendan Allen, I guess, and Maximov, that was an annoying fight where Maximov, does his thing, just reshot, hold on to a leg. Even if he's trying to, Soriano's defending takedowns, but his leg was still locked up. You can't really do anything, and he was still fighting back. And against Dolce, Dolce is a guy who just, he looks for a way out, but Soriano should be the better fighter here. And he does have that wrestling in his back pocket, which hopefully he uses in this fight, because if he takes Kopylov down, he can and should get a finish. So I'm going to go Soriano, knowing that Kopylov can potentially knock him out and win the fight. But Soriano here is the pick. Next up in the men's featherweight division, we have Dan 50K Ige versus Damon Action Jackson. This fight's minus 110 for both guys. This should be a really close, good fight. Ige, he's a good striker. He's got good combos. And a good boxer. He's tough. He has good cardio. Fight for your money. He's not just going to go out there and quit. He can be taken down and controlled, which has been, the story of his last few fights. He hasn't been finished. He's very tough. He works off his jab too. He's a nice jab. And overall, he's just pretty well-rounded. And he's fighting Damon Jackson, who's a great grappler. He's good takedowns, top control. He has a submission threat constantly. And he fights for your money too. He has awkward striking. It can be effective sometimes. Probably not against Dan Ige. And he can be hit. But I don't know. This is going to be a close fight between both guys. Ige, if you look at his latest record, he's 1-2-3. He's 1-4 in his last 5. And if you look at that against Damon Jackson, who's 4-1 in his last 5, and his only loss against Ilia Topuria, who's on another level right now. You might think that Jackson has this all day, but it's going to be a really close fight because Ige has, that good striking in his back pocket, and Jackson, if he comes out and gasses like he did against Argueta, he's going to end up getting lit up. But overall, I'm just going to have to go with Jackson here in a super close fight. Not confident because I know Ige is very good, but only because Ige has been controlled, his last few fights, and he's had some wars in his career. But Ige still has the boxing upside, and he's tough, and he can catch Jackson at any point because we have seen Jackson knocked out, even though it was against Topuria. And he gassed horribly against Argueta, and he was getting lit up by Argueta, who's, we talked about him earlier. He's not that great. But I think this should go to the distance either way. If there is a finish, it's probably going to come from Ige, standing up with a KO. Super close fight, not confident at all. Should be a good fight either way, but I'm going to have to go with Jackson here, only because of the grappling upside and the fact that Ige has been taken down and controlled, in a handful of his last fights. He does have decent get-up game, but I don't know, against Jackson, who's coming off that KO of Pat Sabatini. But that, that's not going to happen that often, with Damon Jackson. But either way, going to be a good fight. It could go either way. I'm going Jackson here based off the grappling and the fact that Ige has miles on him, and it's gonna be close, but Jackson just gonna throw it out there. Finally, we get to our main event between Sean Strickland and Nascimento Imanov, men's middleweight. The odds haven't been released yet. Let's see. So it looks like right now on FanDuel, Imanov is a -106, Strickland is a -120, because as I'm recording this, Sean Strickland just accepted the fight and Gastelum was out probably like 3 hours ago. So we have Strickland versus Imanov. Obviously, Imanov, he's good takedown defense, doesn't accept bottom too often, but that's not going to matter in this fight. He's a good striker from distance and mixes everything in. He's good, well-rounded. He will attempt takedowns and go for some chokes. He can be controlled in the clinch. Once again, not really going to matter in this fight. He has good counters. He can be hit, but he is tough. He doesn't check a lot of leg kicks. He has the in-and-out striking style, hands down. No 5-round experience, and he fades in the third round. And he's fighting against Sean Strickland, who's a late replacement, but he should still be in shape. He just fought Cannonier. Close fight. He possibly could have won that fight, and Cannonier, I think, is number 3. So if the line comes out and Strickland's an underdog, I am going to hammer that. He's a solid boxer. He does keep his hands down low, but he's typically good at not getting hit flush. He works off his jab, and not a lot of power, but he does move forward and throw jab straights all day. But this is probably going to be a harder fight for Imanov than Gastelum, even though I was on the Gastelum side of that, because of Strickland's forward pressure and Imanov's questionable gas tank after that Joaquin Buckley fight. He was gasping for air, looking up at the clock in the third round, and Buckley was putting it on him, and he was just looking to survive in that third round. But if Imanov looks good early and he is, does happen to tag Strickland up, then Strickland can walk away with this if Imanov gasses. But I think after that last fight, Imanov could come out and say, hey, I gassed in 2 rounds and there's a 5-round fight, I'm going to take it slow. He could do that, but against Sean Strickland, that might be hard to do. Of course, the style could, catch Strickland, unawares. Strickland has been knocked out a couple times, but, his last knockout was against the champ. He's one of the best kickboxers probably the best kickboxer in MMA right now, obviously. But it's a huge step up in competition for Imanov. He fought Joaquin Buckley. He's no slouch, but he's not on the level of Sean Strickland. He did take down and beat up Shabazian, but once again, not on the level anywhere near Sean Strickland. So I'm going to have to go with Sean Strickland here. I'm going to have to go Strickland by decision. His boxing should be too much for Imanov to handle, but who knows? Maybe Imanov is that good. And if he did get his cardio in check, and if he does fight like it is a 5-round fight, it could make things interesting. But I just think Strickland is just steps ahead everywhere this goes. And Strickland should pull this off in a 5-round decision, lose the first 2 rounds, win the last 3. This should be a good fight, and Strickland should get his hand raised. So the fighter to watch on this card is I'm going to have 2 of them. So I'm going to go Dulgarian and Rebeski, 2 guys that are 100% going to go out there and try to win early. If Dulgarian ends up showing up and this does get extended and he can't take Argueta down and his cardio holds up, then he could be a good prospect to watch in the future, because he has a very exciting style, a very powerful wrestler, and he does go for the finish. But we got to see how the cardio holds up, and got to see how his hands hold up. And the other one obviously is Rebeski. Same thing, just move forward, tug his chin, wing, wild, explosive, fast punches, kicks, powerful takedowns, powerful top control, good jiu-jitsu, well-rounded everywhere. Both these guys are on my radar, and if they both get their hands raised, then this could be, or they both can be, very exciting prospects to watch in the future. So my two fighters to watch, Dulgarian and Rebeski. And my fight of the night, which is probably going to be the most exciting fight of the night, is Abdul Alhassan versus Claudio Ribiero. This doesn't end up in a ridiculous KO or finish, it's wild, it's borderline hilarious and exciting, then I don't know, there's something wrong with the world, because both these guys are going out there to just finish you, knock your head off in brutal, exciting fashion. And Ribiero gets so wide sometimes, it's pretty goddamn funny. So this should be my fight of the night. It should be very exciting. It should end in a ridiculous KO. If not, then I don't know what's going on here. So yeah, keep a lookout for that. Do not miss it. Well, that's it. The breakdown for Sean Strickland versus Imanov. Thank you for listening. If you have made it all this way through, which I don't know, we'll see if you can stand my soothing voice. But yeah, let me know what your picks are. Let me know what picks I got wrong, and let me know how much I suck. Good luck this weekend. I'll have my official bets video up on Friday for this weekend. And yeah, thank you.